2022 seemed like it was going to have a lot of really good games for this year. That was until like nearly everything was delayed. But honestly, it seems like we still have some good ones to look forward to, and that's what the topic of this video is going to be. I'm going to be listing the 6 games that I am most excited for that are upcoming for 2022. And hopefully they all actually come out this year. Starting things off, I did want to say the majority of these games have a to-be-announced release date just in 2022. So again, I could see them being delayed to the next year, but regardless, we're still going to talk about them here and just act like they are going to come out this year. I'm going to link to the most recent trailer for each game that's on this list so that you can go and actually watch this yourself and hopefully formulate your own opinion if maybe you hadn't heard about this game so far. But before we start the list, go ahead and put the game that you're most excited about in the comments down below and see if maybe it syncs up with my list. But let's go ahead and jump into the first game, which is going to be Forspoken. This is actually the only game on this list today that actually has an official release date. But again, we know that that can move. But I'm figuring that most people have actually heard about this game already. But just in case you haven't, this is a third-person action game, which is also going to be an RPG according to its description. But it's really focusing around its super cool and seemingly in-depth magic system that it has. Putting some footage in the background so you can see what I'm talking about, but this game honestly looks like gorgeous. It has a lot of cool environments, magic, the enemies look cool. And I'm just really excited about the traveling, the combat, everything that it has. And I'm just really hoping this is going to be another one of those open worlds like we talked about in my Elden Ring video I posted the other day, where the world's hopefully going to be full and not just going to be this empty blank canvas, essentially. One of the things I'm already not looking forward to is just the dialogue in general with this game. And I'm really just hoping that if it is as bad as it looks so far, that at least the gameplay will make up for it. But if you've watched one of these trailers, you definitely know what I'm talking about. It seems kind of cringy. To give a little bit of a background on the actual story that's going on here, you have your main character, who is somebody from our world, gets transported to a different world, and they have magical abilities, however that works out. Seems like it's the main character working with I think it's a bracelet, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's like a sentient bracelet they have that gives them the ability to cast magic. Honestly, everything that has happened with the dialogue and the story so far is not why I'm interested in this game, so just look at the cool magic and colors that it has in the background and then you'll see why I'm into it. But again, this is a game that I do anticipate that I'm gonna pick up no matter what. It's definitely hooked me to the point where I want to see how it pans out. And I would be really surprised if it doesn't have anything for me here. So look forward to when that game comes out. I might not buy it on release date, but I will buy it relatively soon after the release and let you know what my opinions are on it. But again, this is one of the games that I felt like most people already kind of know about, so I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it. So I figured we could move to the next one then. And that second one at number 2 is going to be Arc Raiders. This is a game that I haven't heard anyone talk about a whole lot. It's going to be a free-to-play, sort of Monster Hunter-esque co-op experience game. I am really excited that this game will be free-to-play so that I can try it and see if it really is my thing, because it looks cool, but I do have some concerns. Briefly going into those, the main concern that I have is that it looks like the enemy variety is kind of lacking. To give a little background on the description of this game, essentially, you're a special task force that is hunting down alien robots coming from space. And from there, you have to group together with your other friends, and you have your classes, just like you do in most other cooperative games like this, to take down, well, the robots. But those robots look like you have the small robot, and you have the big robot, and almost nothing else in between. And again, that's kind of my main concern with it. I also don't know exactly how the progression is going to work, if it's going to be something where you have to buy a battle pass to get any sort of new gear, if that's just going to be cosmetic stuff, because with free-to-play games and with how high budget this looks, it's definitely going to have some sort of monetization. So we just got to hope that the monetization isn't bad. If it is, hopefully it's at least playable without any of the monetization. But again, I'll definitely be jumping into this one and definitely give you my opinion on how this is going to work. So yeah, we'll see how this pans out, I guess. This one again does not have an official release date, but it is listed to come out this year at some point. Alright, moving on to the next one. At number 3, it's going to be A Plague Tale Requiem. So I played the first one of these, A Plague Tale Innocence, actually earlier this year. I have Game Pass, and so I decided to try this out. It was a game that was on my radar, but I just didn't want to buy it. It didn't really seem like the steep $40 was worth what I knew was only about like 16 hours of gameplay at the max. But after playing it, I can confirm I did actually really enjoy the first one. Again, I would really recommend either getting it on sale or playing it on Game Pass. I don't believe it's worth the full price, just in my personal opinion. But it's a really fun stealth game that has kind of unique gameplay loops, I guess, is the best way to put it. It takes a different approach to combat in the way that you actually traverse through environments as you're actually a child and you're protecting your younger brother through this medieval nightmare. You're in the middle of a plague with a bunch of rats that come out of the ground and eat everything around you. And the only way to dissuade those rats is either to have them eat something that's not you or scare them away with light. So you have a lot of different puzzles that you have to use to dissuade the rats from coming towards you so that you can quickly run through, hopefully before they eat you. And then on top of that, you're also being hunted down by an Inquisition. So, you also have to deal with knights, and you're just a little girl with a sling. So it's interesting, again, and it has some cool characters. It's got an interesting story, and a lot of it in that game seemed like it was setting up the story for this game. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. Again, I will definitely play this game at some point, but I don't really expect I'm going to pick it up right away. But I am still excited that it exists. So I would really recommend, again, if you're going to play this game, try it out. See if you like Innocence first, the first game, before you pick up Requiem. This one, again, does not have a release date. It's just TBA for 2022. All right, moving off of this one, let's go to number 4, which is Bayonetta 3. I'm really excited for this game, especially if it actually comes out this year. Even if not, I'm still excited. But I would really hope to finally have another Bayonetta game after the huge gap we've had since Bayonetta 2. But I'm not really that optimistic. Nice thing is if you want to play these games, you can actually pick them up on the Switch for a pretty reduced price. I believe they're also on Steam, but I could be wrong on that. And honestly, they're really fun character action games if you like that sort of thing. If you're not familiar, if you ever played anything like Devil May Cry, this is the same genre. It's really finding stylish ways to take down your enemies. It's not really the most challenging game, I guess, is the best way that I can put that, but it is really fun. You don't have to be super good to play through and beat this entire game, but it's just a really fun experience that gives you a lot of really cool visual stimulation, I guess, with your cool combos that you do. They finally put out some gameplay for this game, so I'm putting that in the background. Before that, we just had a JPEG for like 2 years, and so I'm excited to see that at least it looks like the development cycle is moving forward and we're getting closer to the end product. Again, I'm expecting this one to get delayed, but regardless, I'm super excited about it and want to talk about it. Again, it's one of those games that it definitely is very unique and a little bit weird with a lot of its story and combat and all that sort of stuff, so it definitely has to be your thing to get into it. So I would definitely recommend picking up at least Bayonetta 2 and trying that first to see if you actually like this genre. Honestly, I went back and played Bayonetta 1 recently, and I don't think that it's aged super well, so it's still a fun game if you have the nostalgia for it, but I could see a new player having a hard time getting through that game. Again, this is another one that doesn't have an official release date, so it's just supposed to come out this year, hopefully. Alright, moving on to number 5, hopefully a game that you haven't heard of before, but it's one of those ones that I honestly feel like it should get a little bit more attention. I really think that it looks cool, and it's Replaced. So this came out during an Xbox showcase last year, the trailer at least, and it's at least one of those games that I'm super into. It's those indie-looking 2D side-scrolling pixel art games that just look gorgeous. And judging by the trailer, it's probably gonna have a good soundtrack. I just don't want to put that song directly in this video, just in case there's any copyright around it. But definitely go give this trailer a watch because it's worth it. This game deserves the attention, I believe, at least. Please don't come at me if this ends up being a dumpster fire, but it looks really cool. The whole premise around this is essentially you are an AI living in a different human's body, which sounds like a really cool concept, and it's set in an alternate timeline in the 80s. And again, just looking at the art, it looks beautiful. It looks really cool. I'm actually really excited for this game. And it definitely meets that same sort of genre and type of game that I really enjoy, similar to like Katana Zero and like In the Messenger, which I made a video of. If you want to go check that out, I'll link that right now. But again, I wanted to put something on the list that maybe not everybody has heard about before. So hopefully you can get excited about a game that maybe no one else has heard of either. But this is, again, a game that I definitely plan on picking up whenever it comes out because, yeah, it definitely has me interested. All right, and moving to the last one, number 6, probably one that you anticipated to be on this list. And that is God of War Ragnarok. This doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation around it. The majority of people know what this is. But just in case, again, there was recently a new set of games, essentially, that have come out. I say set of games, but this is the second one of that set, essentially. But God of War, not to be confused with God of War 1 and set in Greek mythology, but God of War set in Norse mythology, is an incredible game that is definitely incredibly atmospheric, has really cool combat, and honestly is just a really tight, focused game that I couldn't put down once I started playing. You're a demigod that has become a god from Greek mythology, coming over to Norse mythology. You're just trying to live a peaceful life with your son after your wife died. And so you and your son make a journey to give a proper burial to your wife. And it's incredible. It's super fun. It's one of those games that never pulls you out of the immersion. One of the cool things I decided to do, and some people think this is a little bit much, but I thought it was cool. It never actually pulls away. So you're actually playing through this whole game in one take, essentially. There's no like cutscenes or loading screens or anything pulling you away from what you're doing. It's all done in one take. So essentially, whenever you move to a different area, you see it all in real time, and it never has a hard cut or a transition. I don't know exactly how to describe it because I've never seen it in a game before, but it's cool. It feels like you were there through the entire journey. You didn't see any of the downtime, I guess, move along without you being able to see it, which is just, honestly, it felt cool. It made me feel really immersed in what the storyline was doing. The nice thing is you have banter between Kratos, the main character, and his son, Atreus. And it just gives this really cool dynamic that you get to see Kratos, who's a tough father that is able to finally come around to loving his son, or at least expressing that he loves his son. So honestly, if you haven't played the first one, I definitely recommend finding a way to do that. It's on PlayStation and PC now. And they did a lot of setup in that game, which is really going to put a lot of story into this next game, which I'm really excited to see how they're going to do that. Again, not going to put any spoilers in this just in case people haven't got the chance to play it, but that game is incredible. It's definitely up there with some of my favorite games. And I, unfortunately, don't have a PS5 yet, but I think this is the game that's finally going to get me to get one. I will say the nice thing is that the director of this game did say that this is going to come out this year. Again, that could technically change, but it's cool to see some confirmation. They are at least saying that there's going to be something there. I'm assuming they just don't want to put a hard release date on it yet, just because they want to make sure they have plenty of time to do the finishing touches and get this fully ready to go. But again, if the game gets delayed, I'm still going to play it whenever it comes out. But it would be cool to see it come out this year. Maybe take the number 2 spot right below Elden Ring. But that is actually all the games that I wanted to talk about today. So let me know if your most anticipated game was in this list. Place that down in the comments below, and if not, let me know which game I should have been looking at. And while you're down there, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like. It does help the algorithm a lot with promoting this video towards other people. And if you haven't yet, maybe consider subscribing. It helps out the channel a bunch, and just lets me know that you're liking what you're seeing. I also just wanted to mention that I am actually streaming on Twitch now. I just started doing this, so maybe come and check it out and see if you enjoy watching me be terrible at Elden Ring. But honestly, I'm trying to make it to affiliate on there. I'd really appreciate if you could jump over there, watch for a little bit, maybe chat and follow. It'd help a lot. I'll link to that down below. But that's everything for me today, so I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video all the way through, and I'll see you in the next one.